Hi, this is Joy, and welcome to 365 Days of Joy. Today I'm going to go through all the paper that Legion Paper sent me a couple of months ago in preparation for the experiments that I'm starting this week. I thought that I was going to wait till next week, but I was able to get a lot cleaned up in the last couple of days, and I'm really excited about starting, so I decided today was the day. You're seeing me look at all of the paper that they sent me. It's a lot more than I remember somehow. It was all stored neatly away in my drawers waiting for this day. I've said this in previous videos, but I have worked exclusively on Yupo paper since 2011. And so I'm really excited to try out new pieces of paper and see how the techniques that I have developed for Yupo paper kind of translate and what other ideas working on different paper give me. Because I work on Yupo paper and I don't really use brushes to make my paintings, I've been using like squirt bottles with ink and water. And so today I am going to start doing some experiments where I put that ink on these absorbent pieces of paper. What's really exciting about Yupo paper is that it's hydrophobic, meaning nothing absorbs into the surface. So the ink sits on top of the paper and the water evaporates and leaves behind all the beautiful details that I get in my paintings. But all the paper that I receive from Legion Paper for my experiments are not hydrophobic. Some of them have more sizing in them than others, and some of them are thicker and some of them are thinner, and some of them have smooth surfaces and some of them have rougher surfaces. So I'm really excited to see how they, I don't want to say compare, but what they're like in relation to the Yupo paper. I've been dreaming of doing these experiments for months, so it's really surreal that I get to start today. I don't want to go too fast. I want to sort of take my time. I want to get acquainted with the paper, get an understanding of the paper, so that I can go forward with as much information or inspiration as possible. You'll see me going through the paper and trying to show you which ones are thinner and which ones are thicker, and comparing hot press to cold press. Hot press is smooth and cold press has more texture. I've worked on a couple of these types of paper before with watercolor when I was younger and I was painting portraits, but I have not worked on anything but Yupo paper in a really, really long time. I actually used to love working on illustration board because I really like the smoothness that you get from illustration board, which is, I guess, why I fell in love with Yupo paper, because there's nothing smoother than Yupo paper. So all the paper that I just showed you are going to be used over my experiments the next 3 months, which again, the theme of the next 3 months is foundations. So I'm going to be experimenting with different types of foundations for painting. I'm mainly a painter, but I also do some three-dimensional things, but that may creep in. So I'm also going to be working on other foundations, other substrates besides paper. I'm going to be working on acrylic, which is plexiglass. I'm going to be working with resin. I'm going to be possibly working on a mirror or mirrored surfaces, and who knows what else I'll come up with. Once you start working in a certain way, your mind starts thinking a little bit differently, and then more possibilities present themselves to you as you go further down the rabbit hole. But the next step with all these pieces of paper is that I'm going to cut pieces out of the sheets of paper and start experimenting with my ink and with watercolor, so that when I do the larger experiments, I know what type of media I want to use on top of it. The question that I have And what is sort of spurring this first set of experiments is how will my ink or watercolor or whatever medium I use act on multiple different types of surfaces. And I want to combine those surfaces together and see what happens. So rather than having multiple different sheets of paper separately with my ink or my watercolor on it, I want to actually cut them up into pieces and combine them into one larger piece and do a painting on top of multiple different sheets of paper together. And so that way you can see as one line travels from the Yupo paper to the arches, to the Stonehenge, to the whatever other pieces of paper I use, you'll see how that ink is interacting with that paper within the whole of the finished piece. I hope you enjoyed this video. I was sort of afraid that it would be very boring because I'm just going through the paper and sort of setting up for the experiments and doing very initial tests. But I guess not every video can be exciting, and it's all part of the journey. So if you watched, thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.